damn Ishida, man, he's doing it again. He's trolling us so hard in this goddamn chapter of Tokyo Ghoul. I think it was chapter 6. Let me just double check. Chapter 5, my mistake. He trolls us so goddamn hard in this chapter. At one point, I'm jumping straight into this, we see Torso. He's in the taxi fighting Mutsuki, and at one point Mutsuki cuts him straight across the face and straight across the eyes. Now we find out the name of Torso in this chapter, and it's a name we've never heard before, so unless he's going under a pseudonym and he looks completely different, it's not Shu. But what's so fucking trolly about this is the way he's cut across the eyes is identical to what Soka did, to what Thingy did in the chapel in season 1, which was censored in the anime, but in the manga you see that Sue gets completely cut across the eyes, and it's identical to what happens to Torso in this chapter. He's just full on trolling us. Freaking troll, man. And jumping off the back of that, what I liked about this chapter is we actually find out about Mutsuki's background. We find out that he is actually a girl, but he wants to live as a male. Now, we don't find out why this is, we just find out that he just doesn't want to live that way. So from what it seems like and what we've seen in the pictures, he hasn't had a sex change yet, so he's still female. But for all intents and purposes, I'm going to start calling him a he because that's what he wants to be known as. So if we look closer at the pictures, we can he's still bound up, and the only scars that he's got on his body is probably from the surgery to become one of these special ghouls. So at least that's been cleared up now. We know that he's basically pre-op, like that's the way it is. So I'm happy that he's done that, because I don't think there's ever been a manga that I've read which has dealt with that topic of like psychological changes and wanting to be a different gender. So I like that Ishida's done that, because it's a very interesting topic. I just hope in the next chapters that Mutsuki doesn't die, and that has been just placed there to like tempt us and make his character more interesting. Nearly said her then. As well as that, what was fucking beast about this chapter is we see Shirazu's Kagune, and it is like, I've looked at the pictures twice, that's why I've got up on here. The first time I looked at it, it just looked like he was firing like tentacles out his back, which were just going absolutely everywhere. But at closer like inspection, it looks like there's smoke behind and it's not actually connected to his body. So it looks like he's just like basically throwing bits of solid flesh Kagune at his opponent, and it just looks really cool, and it just fits his character so well, because he's very crazy and very boisterous, he's very out there, and it just works awesomely. Now what is interesting about this as well, we see that Sasaki, he's not in this episode, this chapter whatsoever, but we can see that he's very much like a mastermind. He's very much got a lot of insight about what's happening, because he basically calls the police to work with the CCG at this point. And what is very interesting is, if I remember correct, in the original Tokyo Ghoul, the police didn't really work very closely with CCG. They were like, CCG was basically just, the Doves were just a complete different branch of the police, and they didn't really cross over. But what we see in this chapter is that they've got hand signs, and they're now working together towards this common goal of getting rid of all the ghouls, which I thought was very interesting for an insight, because we can see that things have progressed through this little time skip that we've had. As well as that, I just can't wait for Sasaki to show up. When he shows up, shit's gonna go down, because at the end of this episode, when Torso's like, he's stuck between a rock and a hard place, he doesn't have his mask, so when he tries to escape, and he's like fully surrounded by the ghoul squad as well as the police, he ends up having to take his shirt off and put it over his head just to hide his face, which I think is really weird, because from the glimpses of his face, we don't know who he is. So it seems like Ishida's still foreshadowing who he is, but with the name that we were given, it's no one that we know, and the glimpses don't really, even though there's a 3-year time skip, it still doesn't look like anyone we really know. So I'm a little skeptical on who Torso actually is now, especially since we got trolled to hell with the whole Shuai cut thing. But what was very interesting, when he's stuck in this rock and a hard place, all of a sudden the S-Class Serpent shows up, and it's like, okay, fucking throw all the cards out the window, we're gonna have like a 3-way battle royale. But the way it seems, he's come in to basically save Torso so he can basically extract the information out of him, or he wants to stop the information that Torso's got getting out. So it's very interesting to see where it goes. And now if we're going to go off the back of the theories from everything that I've seen and all the like crossover pictures, apparently Serpent is Nishiki, just because if you look at the way his Kagune is like formed in the image and then look at it from basically references in the original Tokyo Ghoul, they're very, very similar. As well as that, apparently the mask that he's wearing is very similar to the mask that he wears in the anime. So I don't know how true that is, but if that's so, Nishiki was like a freaking pushover in Tokyo Ghoul. So for him to go from like a C rank or a B rank or whatever he wasn't exactly super amazing, all the way up to an S rank in these 3 years. He's been hitting the bag hard, he's been hitting the gym hard. So it's very interesting to see where this is going to go, because shit's going to go down. And now Mutsuki, I don't really know what to say about his character, because he can't use his Kagune at all, and I feel like that's more that's more of a mental problem than it is a physical problem, because yes, he's suffering with this whole he's a girl and he basically wants to be and live as a guy, and that's probably having some sort of effect on his physical body, because he probably thinks he's weak, but he's probably not. And I feel like that's what's stopping him from using his Kagune. So there's a lot of potential for a lot of character development there. It just, I feel like with the way this fight is going to go next week, that's someone's gonna have to go down, someone's gonna die. But the fact is, Sasaki might show up late, and then Mutsuki might have to actually come over this hurdle and actually use his Kagune and actually find a way for himself to be strong and to stop looking down on himself. So I'm interested to see where it's going to go, because there's a lot of potential. This chapter felt really fast. It felt super short, but that's just because it was very action driven. It was very much just more build up. So overall, I thought it was an awesome chapter. Would give it like a solid 8.5 out of 10. Cannot wait to see what goes down next week, because we've set up this beast of a three-way fight right now with the Doves, Ghoul Squad, Police versus Torso versus Serpent. So shit's gonna go down. Could go absolutely anyway. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below what you thought. Like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. I've been Harry, and I shall see you soon. Goodbye.